Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello.
Hello, tell me things.
Okay, so we never do this. We don't share news about General Hospital. We just talk about things we think in our minds. Anything
Yes.
that's not research based. But we have news. So I'm going to start with news you'll be happy about, okay? So, the actor who plays Cody?
Yes.
Okay, so in real life, he's dating Nell and engaged to Nell now.
No
Chloe
way.
Lanier.
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Thank you for sharing that news.
Okay, Johnny told me. So just I knew
Our
they were
research
dating.
team.
I knew that they were dating, but he told me they were married. And then also congratulations to Kate Mansi. I'm confused, guys, because again, I didn't do research. I saw something that made me scratch my head that I'm doing right now, and I was like, I guess I'll just never know. So she had posted, which is so cool. She had a surprise. She had an engagement party that turned into a surprise wedding. But then I think
Oh,
if you look on her Instagram, I think People did something, and they posted official pics of the wedding.
the magazine got
The
it.
magazine.
I don't
People,
know.
all kinds, so many people. And so in one of the pictures, and I have to assume this is her mother-in-law, because why else would why else would people post this? So it's a picture of Kate Mansi, the person she married, and then Heather. You know the most recent Heather, the girl who from the Wonder Years?
Yes.
So she's in a picture with them. So I'm like, so she's your mother-in-law? Because it has to be why else would you post? And then today when I went to go on her Instagram page to show Johnny that she got married, the
Oh my
song
gosh.
is the theme song of Wonder Years to her wedding pictures. Did she
My
marry Heather
mind
Weber's son?
is blown. I see the picture right now. I'm
I
on
never Googled
Instagram.
anyone's names. I didn't.
But they look alike. I mean, just
That's what
based
I
on
went by, their smile. I'm like, this is what's going on. Not the fact that they're it's People magazine posting these three people in a picture, and one could only assume I did my own DNA test. Screw
That's what I was gonna
necklaces. I'm like, smiles. Show me your
say. You
smile.
stole my
You must
line.
be mother's son. Okay, more news.
More news, so much
More
news.
news. Okay, which weird? Okay, I'm gonna go with the latest weird news. The weird news
Okay.
you sent me. Well, actually, I immediately posted it to our story.
I saw that. So cute. I loved it. I was like, I'm a part of it, guys.
I panicked, and I didn't want to say too much because my reaction is raw. Okay, so guys, Mel sends me that Britt Westbourne, so Kelly Thibault, is coming back to General Hospital, and I was like, what? And then I post to our stories, mind blown. But do you know what's really happening? I'm not happy. I'm stunned. You know why? Because I'm
Why?
too much of a fan. This is why we have Logistics Corner, because I get too bogged down into certain details. Okay.
Yes.
And for me, this is my sticking point, and I can't get around this one. You were immortalized in a picture in General Hospital. So
Yes.
I'm having a hard time with this. They put your picture up. Your picture is there. You're part of the wall. All of General Hospital staff legends are on a wall, and you're on a wall. And she did interviews about the timing that she left, how she felt about, let's say, acting with Cody, feeling more brother sister, the whole Jason, literally, she talked about all of it, the decision to leave, the decision to be killed off, meaning she could come back as anything, right? She can come back as another character. That's not odd.
Yes.
She could I don't know, she'll come back as her original character, but her picture is on the wall now. How does this make sense?
No, it doesn't make any sense. She comes back as another character. Who can she play? Is she going to come back as herself? I
A
have a lot of
doctor.
questions, and I'm full of feelings. This week I've been so full of anger, joy. It's been a real big roller coaster of what I expected, what I wanted, what actually happened. So I love Kelly Thibault. I
I
think
do.
she's wonderful. I think she's a great actress. I am nervous as to
Me
how
too.
this is going to fit in, and if they will put somebody else's picture on that wall, or just say, wow, she looks an awful lot like that other lady.
Oh
Oh my
my
God,
gosh.
what's his name that played three characters? He was like a vampire.
Well, that's
He was
what
a,
that's what
you know?
that was Finn. So Finn was multiple characters.
Yeah.
And then Johnny was well, yeah, he was referring to Franco, because Franco played three characters.
Yes, yes.
Roger Howarth when they were recasting him. That's the thing though, like sometimes when they bring back an actor but play another role, sometimes they literally carve out a different story. Not that it worked out
Yes.
really well for Austin, but they gave him different co-stars. So he had Maxie, for instance. But then he managed to get Ava back in his life, right? So sometimes when they bring back a character, they also put them back in the vicinity of the previous characters they had entanglements with. And so for
Yes.
me, I'm like, why are you back? Is this a Jason thing?
I know.
What are you back for? And for who? So I guess it's weird for me. On the heels of Brad leaving, we were talking about missing her and Brad
Ugh.
for the nurse's
Yes.
ball. And then Cody made that reference to Britt and they cheers to her. Britt's character was legendary. Legendary, her arc on the show. I think anyway, like who she started as, who she ended, all of it. I think her character was so interesting. So part of me is one, your picture's on the wall, and I feel no one is taking that seriously. And
Mhm.
two, the character you previously played is really difficult to live up to. So if you choose to come back as a different character, because that's also what I'm worried about, because it's different, right? If you do come back as the same character as Brit, then it's okay,
Yes.
let's see how this works. Let's see what this means. But coming back as a different character, I go, yeah, that kind of concerns me because your character was legendary.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I have mixed feelings. So say the other news. Say the other news.
So in more news, I feel like we should have like news music. The fact that we have so much rolling out here. So
Yes.
lucky, we had this great scenes with him. We fell back into love with him. And then, we
Hmm.
had a really big scene where Elizabeth was, questioning, that whole conversation with Laura. Like the thing is I love him, but will he stay? So I was like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. My heart's not ready. And then this week happened and the article came out. So Lucky will not be staying in Port Charles. I love Lucky, and you did this beautiful romantic gesture, and it was so
Mel,
kind. But
like
hey, there's a but coming.
no, but before you get into that part, just to what you
Yes,
were saying earlier, like the
yes,
fact that he comes back and we did fall in love with him and there was a debate, I think logically we knew from the moment he returned Jonathan Jackson to the show that we all knew it was going to be permanent, right? It was sort of this special appearance and it's almost as if you're counting down. And then before you get to the scene, it's just the reality that there's so much conversation, right? About what his future holds and what he's capable of. Will he, won't he? And let's just be real, guys. They weren't official.
you're exactly right. They're not official, but I guess my heart was a little, like I was teetering on the side, a little bit on denial. Like he's involved in the bar,
Mhm.
he's helping Christina. He's involved in his son's life, even though we don't see it on screen.
Oh my
He's
gosh. Don't even get me started on
I
that.
know. He's like really invested in this relationship with Elizabeth and wooing her and cooking for her and doing all these kind things. And you're like, dude, where's your head at? Like, what is happening?
Oh, we learned where his head was at.
It is cuckoo banana land. No, okay. I really saw like who needed a DNA test when that scene with Lucky happened and all the stuff that's happening with Lulu. I mean, he's much like lower on the list of the
Oh
level
yeah,
of
he's way more
delusion.
tolerable except for those scenes because when I talked earlier about the debate, will he stay, and the thing is, like I said, I think we all knew like this would never be like a long-term thing, but then it was so misleading because
Yes.
we're watching him deepen his roots in Port Charles. So then I do feel that GH has been pretty good with the fake outs. Like even all this reveal stuff, it's going down in a way that like, we didn't really predict, right? So many
No.
twists and turns. So even with this, you kind of hooked me. We watched his relationship evolve with Elizabeth. Like you pointed out, he ended up in this like relationship with Christina, a nod to Luke and to Sonny. He's integrated into Secret with Alexis. He was entangled in some storylines and, you know, I just thought to myself, how does one exit, right? How does one exit General Hospital with all of this? But then when I saw that scene, I'm like, yeah, you got to go. Like, what? Like, I didn't think that I would be like, good riddance, but that scene, the story wise, like the actor I love, the actor I want
Yes,
on the show.
absolutely.
But when I saw that scene and the side of himself that he showed, she's like, what about Aiden? He's like, oh, the kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
I could not. I could
you're
not.
raising a bunch, right? I mean, we could take him. And then she's like, well, he's gonna like want to go to college. He's dating someone, like he's in a relationship. And then Lucky's like, right, right. Let's wait till he goes to college. And then we're free. And I was like,
I couldn't believe it.
ew,
Couldn't believe it.
ew. Like, and then what I couldn't understand, like could not understand. So You're like, "I wanna make a life with you, like, here. Like, I'm living in a fantasy, I'm gonna propose." And first of all, you're not even together. Like, what are you
Yeah, no,
doing? Like, what are you doing right now? Talk about living in the past.
big time.
I get that you have a history, and it's true. If you guys were dating, you probably wouldn't really need to date that long to know. You
Nope.
didn't date, like, you had a couple of dates, that's it, and then you proposed, and then you offered her an entire life together, and then 2 seconds later, you said, "You know what? I'm gonna leave town.
I
Something
could
just came
not.
up." And I'm like, "What?"
In the
I was
moment you were talking,
yeah, I'm like, "So about a few seconds ago, old, I'm leaving. It's sudden." He's like, "I know, it's sudden." I'm like, "Yes, yes, it's sudden, and it's very, giving lack of stability. Like, how are you proposing to me in 1 minute and then going, 'Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave town.'" And I love how, like, none of his decisions are even based on Aiden. They're really just based on his high school self and his high school crush. He hasn't moved past that point.
no, and it's so sad. Like exactly that. He is definitely stuck in time. And even said at some point, I can't remember if it was this week or last week, that she's basically grown up a lot more than he has. Like that is most definitely she's had life experience in a real way, whereas he's been
Yes.
hiding from being an adult,
He's
from
had
adult
adventures.
responsibilities. Exactly. And it was just it was hard to watch for that flip of a switch. Like he's really good at putting on the show and act. And it's like he was just trying on an outfit. And the minute reality hit, he's like, yeah, peace out. This is not vibing with me. And that was sad for
Right.
Elizabeth because she is owed so much more than that type of relationship.
Well, you know what? Elizabeth has come a long way and she handled that really well. She was the
Yes.
one in control of that situation. And absolutely not because she said no, but because she was the only one living in reality and ready to kind of say difficult truth. Because the point
Yes.
is, she is in love with him. She would love a life with him, but she knows who he is,
Yep.
right? So I feel like the person I feel bad for is Lucky. Like he's so lost. And yes, she says, you'll be happier out there in the world. But as we've come to learn, he's not
Hmm.
happy anywhere. He's not happy out there in the world. He's just distracted enough and he's not happy here. He's not happy anywhere. So if I feel bad for anyone, it's Lucky. But I just have to
Yes.
say, I didn't understand how he would be written out, but they did such a good job that as a viewer who was shocked to have him back, happy to have him back, you created a situation where I'm okay.
Right?
And thank you for that. But also it makes everything make sense, right? Like Liz is flirting with Rick. Her
Yes.
non-committal attitude toward Lucky, which wasn't unfounded. So all those nuances, all those things where we're like, hey, I thought they were building like a love story. So it's kind of weird how they kind of gave us a realistic story. They're like, remember these high school sweethearts? Guess what? People grow up and people change, and some people don't grow up at all. And I'm like, thanks for that.
Well, people are in love with the what could have been,
Yeah.
like the relationship that got missed. And then, like, it was just, I thought it was really cool the way they played that out. I was disappointed in the fact that lucky is a word that we can't say on the podcast, but like you said, make
Yeah.
the leaving easier.
Yeah. Also in the news department, I think he was one of the groomsmen at Steve Burton's wedding when I saw the
Stop.
pictures. Yes. So maybe you should go check out Steve Burton's like video montage of his wedding.
Love it. Love
Yes. So, drama's still happening. And Brooklyn, Lois, Gloria, those were some scenes where, like, we talk about how the lucky ones were done. I will say this. I think, given that it's a generational show, I think they did an absolutely incredible job in demonstrating different generational viewpoints to this one situation.
Tell me more.
Well, watching, let's say, Gloria had that tough as nails attitude. You know what I mean? My
Yes.
way or the highway. Whatever I say goes. No one has evolved past that, I think. So I'm going to go with it. And I will control all feelings and say, don't feel things. I won't
That's
acknowledge
true.
yours. Well, I'm just going to set the tone with the reality and everyone will abide by it. And if you don't, well, then you're obviously awful and disrespectful. So, like that part generationally. And then you have like this, like, to be honest, I cannot believe, and we talked about this last week, how we feel differently about Lois given who she's speaking to, given the relationship, right? Like I felt for Ned when she was talking to Ned, but then I was like on Lois's side when she was talking to Olivia. But when it comes to Brooklyn, like I'm on Brooklyn's side. And so watching her with Brooklyn was a little disturbing because for me, the main thing with Lois is, wow, you cannot just let Brooklyn be mad for a little bit. right? Like the fact that she can't tolerate like distress, anything not going her way, like it's just such an interesting contrast watching Brooklyn kind of make space for Gio's world. And when you're watching those scenes, you watch that both Gloria and Lois don't make any room for Brooklyn's experience. They were just taking up so much space and they were literally like they're saying to Brooklyn, there's a lot you need to process, but not a soul gave her the space to do so. And Lois, like we talk about how like Nina and other characters, they just want to like skip to the good part.
Yes.
And I know that Lois and Brooklyn have this relationship. It's just, you knew what happened the last time. The last time you lied, and that was a small, like to me, it felt smaller, right? When Brooklyn found out that she had told Gloria. But
Yes.
even then, like Lois took her space a little bit. She didn't like it. And even then, she was a little bit defensive. And I just think Lois doesn't have to regret her decision, right? Like she really doesn't. Like you can agree to
Mm.
disagree. And Lois could be like, I don't think she made the decision in a malicious way. I don't. But to not understand why it would be upsetting or at least validating that, like I just feel that Lois can be comfortable with her decision. She can have zero regrets, but I don't see why that also means that you can't, because you're the mother, sit there and tolerate Brooklyn's feelings, her disagreeing with you. Literally, it's been hours. Like it's been hours.
And that was the hard part. It's, we've said it a lot on GH. Sometimes they don't give people the space to process the feelings. They need instant forgiveness. And that conversation was so hard to watch and so
Hmm.
multi-layered because at some point, we perceive Lois as this protective mother, but also there's all those sides of her that treats Brooklyn as a best friend as opposed to a mother and daughter situation.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for me to watch Lois say to Brooklyn. There was even harder parts, but the first part, or one of the things that stood out to me in particular, was, they keep saying she was 16, she was 16, she was
Yeah.
16. She's like, I trusted you to make that decision. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, she was a child and she was 16 and she made a mistake and she needed her mother. And even if Brooklyn had felt that way in that moment, she still, I feel, needed to know what her options were. And I feel like Lois acted like a bestie that panicked.
Oh, exactly. And it's something that you're saying that's actually like a lie. Like the fact that Lois said, I trusted you to make a decision at 16, but you didn't trust her because Brooklyn made a decision and you didn't honor it.
Yeah.
Because that's what Lois doesn't understand. As much as they're arguing because it turns out it's Geo, but there's layers to this, right?
Yes.
There is the upset about the fact that Brooklyn made this sacrifice and she's okay with it, like I think there's like a confusion where people feel like that Brooklyn should have looked for her son if she wanted him, or that kind of a thing, but that's the
Yeah.
point. Brooklyn would never, like that's what she's reiterated.
Mm-hmm.
In her mind, she made one decision as a mother. Like that's all she has, right? Because
Yes.
she chose to give her baby up for adoption. So as a mother, the one gesture she made, which was to give her son, her child, she didn't know it was a son, to give her child a better life, like she thought that she made the ultimate sacrifice and she didn't want to disrupt his life. So she was trying to hold true to this choice she made, but it turns out her mom didn't honor that choice. And like Brooklyn has said, it's more the lie. So this
Yeah.
idea that I trusted you to make a decision, well, she did make one. She said, could you put my baby up for adoption and make it a closed adoption? So
Mm-hmm.
that speaks volumes if you think about what Olivia confronted her on. Did you have an open and honest conversation about all options? Because if Lois decided that, well, she wants to give her baby up, and I think it's too hard for me to do. I'm going to do it this way. So that means you didn't trust her to make a
Yeah.
decision. You think that there was
Yes.
things that Brooklyn wasn't really considering. And this was about the fact that it was too hard for Lois. And I do understand Lois's perspective, but I also think
Yes.
it's okay for Lois not to regret her decision. It's
Yeah, that
okay.
too.
But I also think then you need to also stand by it and ride out your decision to the very end. And that would mean sitting there and just allowing Brooklyn, like that is how you build trust. I know Lois doesn't see it that way because of what you pointed out, right? She sees them as equals and she's not really taking on the role of mom. And it makes so much more sense when you say that to me, when you say she wasn't treating her like a daughter, she treating her like a best friend, because the comment she makes at the end, you know what, Brooklyn? And the
Yeah.
way she said it so petty, if you wanted to keep your baby, we would have done it. It's like, that's something peers
Mm.
say. That's what something Lulu would say. It's
Yes.
not what
Oh
a
my
mother
gosh, that's what I
says.
wrote.
And when you said that, I'm like, that's why it hit so awful because it's not how a mother talks to a kid. And during that little outburst, they were having them simultaneously. Lois was having it with Brooklyn, and Gloria was having it with Gio by saying, if your dying mom
Oh
wanted
my
to tell you,
goodness.
we would have dealt with it. And the funny thing is, those two women, this wasn't intentional. For a minute, you'd think, wow, that was smart. You fought with both of them, creating a situation where Gio and Brooklyn would bond, but I know that they didn't do that. Like, I know that
No, they
that's not
didn't.
their intention. Their intention was more to protect themselves. So I did find that disappointing. And I just was like so thrown, like for Lois to say that in front of Gio, because we all know from his outbursts and everything he keeps repeating, his main thing is, you didn't want me.
Yes, exactly.
And just the fact that Lois in front of him, she didn't even consider Gio on that moment. And it's so
Nope.
obvious when you're looking at that scene, she wasn't really prioritizing Brooklyn. And
Mm-hmm.
as much as Olivia said, and I did not agree with it at the time, and I still don't fully, but that scene didn't help, was when Olivia said, you wanted to keep Gio all for yourself. And I was like, no, like I don't think that's what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But she does sort of treat Gio like an object. Like the fact that she ran to Sonny and said, there's no one looking out for Gio. There's literally everyone looking
Everyone.
out for Gio. To me, I see that as such a dig toward Brooklyn.
Yep.
Like Gloria is definitely more harsh, but like that's Lois pushing back too, right? The fact that Brooklyn is parenting differently. Lois is intrusive and she's like, see it my way, see it my way, see it my way. And Brooklyn is like, Gio's mad at me and I'm going to take it and I'm going to give him space and I'm going to let him hate me and I'm going to respect how he wants to handle things, right? So like they're very different in the way that they're handling things. And it's almost like because Brooklyn is not being intrusive with Gio, that like what she can't care for him.
Exactly. That caring means vastly different things to them.
Oh yeah, like Lois, and I said it in like one of my posts, like Lois might only have one child, but her favorite isn't Brooklyn, it's clearly Gio. It didn't have to go to that level, right? Lois
No.
could have stayed there and told Gloria to butt out, one.
Yes.
And she could have literally just sat there and let Brooklyn get everything out. The better move is not to add more fuel to the fire. And I feel that Lois definitely added a lot of fuel and that didn't help.
No, it was awful, hard to watch. It makes the story really interesting because it's so layered when they talk about their memories and Brooklyn, babysitting for Gio and growing up with him and having very specific memories of this person in her life that's her child.
Yeah, like I understand that I think a lot of people are looking at the outcome, kind of like Lulu, right? Look at the outcome, you found your son. But it's just way more nuanced than that, right? There's just so
Yes.
many perspectives and ways that you can look at it. And like Brooklyn said, and I love the way that she answered that. She's like, I could survive that if my kid was okay. I
Yes.
could survive it if they didn't come find me. Like Lulu thinks that there should be only one response in this situation. There's only one thing to
Yes.
do. And so, yeah, I think everyone is kind of looking at the outcome. You have your son now. And I don't think it's really that. I think, again, she made a decision to give up her child and it was a hard decision and that was robbed from her. And her mom can't run around saying she trusted her to make it when she obviously didn't trust the choice that she made to like actually
Yes.
leave her kid out into the world. And I know Lois is stuck on those logistics of it all. I get Lois's point of view, but again, why not just tell your daughter? I find it hard, and this is why. Because
Yeah.
I know the baby turns into you, and you're freaking awesome, and you're standing in front of me, and I know you don't want to do this, but like, I just want to tell you like how hard this is. And she could have talked it out, but I think that's the point. She cut Brooklyn out of like a choice she thought was hers.
Yes.
And it's not about Gio being present now because again, Brooklyn was okay with that. She wasn't going to go searching for her kid. She wasn't. She was just mourning her kid for the first time.
Yes.
But Rocco learned the truth before his papa could show up and tell him himself. What did you think of those
Uh,
scenes? Lulu is so lucky he's a teenager and doesn't pick up on a lot of detail.
I know. I'm like, okay, I love that they showed a really beautiful balance between him being their son, like getting
Yes.
ramped up like Lulu, but also emphasizing the fact that Lulu reacted like a teenager in this
Oh
whole
my
situation.
gosh.
And then the calmness and, and how Dante explained the situation and kind of tried to bring it down. Lulu really switching that narrative to work in her favor
Oh
until she had
yeah.
to say, until she was pushed to where she had to say how he found out. I just loved all the parts to it and how Dante is staying on track. Like he is not forgiving Lulu. He is not happy with the situation. He was solely there to do what he could for his son.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's just funny watching like that, that's their new normal they're adapting to is how they're
Yes.
choosing to answer things. And like, it's funny, Rocco being shocked, but it's like, she's lucky because it's not like he's asking her, well, why were you talking to Lois about it?
Yep,
So it's like
exactly.
she like Lulu couldn't have been happier when she stood in front of Rocco. She's like, "Yay, I get to sell my version to someone."
Exactly.
It was so ridiculous. And so you have that conversation. We know that Maxie knows, right? Because Lulu's on the phone with Maxie when Brooklyn shows up. And just her annoyance, I'm like, are you bothered that
Right?
Brooklyn showed up at your house? Is that intrusive? Is that? And so, like, that's what's so baffling. She does all of
Right?
this thing that she was like, I don't know. And her crap about proof, like Dante pointed out, it's not like she had solid proof. She just pushed Lois to say what she already knew. She knew enough. She knew enough to bring it to Dante, you know? And
Absolutely.
honestly, even just the suspicions were enough to drop in Dante's lap and let him kind of do the rest with it.
Exactly.
There is no explaining. And like she leaves out the part where she wasn't ever going to tell Dante. No, you were forcing Lois to do it for you.
Exactly.
You weren't going to go tell Dante unless she didn't. Like you were forcing the entire situation and you didn't put it in the hands of the people who could have controlled it better. And then Brooklyn shows up and Lulu is just annoyed, but I kind of love that conversation because Lulu tried to skirt it again by it's similar to the arguments that Gloria and Lois, well, I'm not sure it is, but I think it's what they feel justifies it. You're together now, basically. And when Gloria was like, you should blame Lulu. And I'm like,
Oh my
honestly,
word.
I kind of feel like Gloria and Lulu have to be related. And
Right.
I love Brooklyn's answer. I don't expect much from her. I expected more
Exactly.
from you guys. And so just Lulu, it was just so funny. You know what I mean? Like her mom had showed up the day before. They never showed a conversation, but
Yes.
obviously Laura put two and two together. Like she has to face the music. Her mom had told her everything that happens from here on out is on your shoulders. And she sits there with a different narrative. You and Dante are not grateful. And I'm like, wow,
Wow. Right?
wow. And I think that's what Cody was feeling the night of, right? Because he was like, damn it. What were we thinking? Like, we were so tunnel vision. And I think that's what made him a little freaked out with Lulu is that no matter what's happened, it really hasn't made her go, oh, I feel differently about this. Like, or maybe I should have handled it different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I should have
Yes.
just, if this was really about Dante, maybe I should have went to him. Like, she's so not self-reflective. And to
No.
say, like, you should be grateful you have a son now. Like, it's gonna work out.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But I love the thread and the fact that she said, I'm out. And I'm like, wow, I am out? Now you don't want to be involved? That's yes. And like, I don't know what Brooklyn meant when she was like, no, you don't get to step out that easily. And I'm just like, girl, you better like do something to mess with her life. Like, you're a
Oh, I hope
quartermain.
so.
You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have to get another journalism contract for anytime soon.
I was say like, take away her writing career debut. She'll never write again.
But it's moving like I'm not gonna say slow because like they're showing Dante privately kind of processing still. Like we're not seeing any further Dante Brooklyn scenes, right? We're kind of seeing them separate. Dante went to see Sonny. That was really funny because Sonny had to keep Dante focused on Gio's hurt and away
Yes.
from his own because Dante was like pouting. And Sonny was like, you need to focus on Gio right now. Like you have a son and that's the most important thing. And it's just so funny watching them process this. And I mean, we've seen this, right? Like it's generational. So like Dante processing the situation very much in his feelings, but also processing it through the lens of like his dynamic with his dad.
It's all so fascinating. I absolutely love that Sonny was very calm and the voice of reason all
Hmm.
week. Like I see, we talk about that merge of Mike and Sonny, then we're talking about his retirement, and he's really kind of finding his new groove and being this role of like calm support to his family. Not that he
Yeah.
wasn't before, but I feel like it's taken on a whole different I've taken on maybe a different perspective because I want him to be mayor. I want him to be retired out of the mob. I want him to be more of this solid person that he's always wanted to be.
But I
Stable,
but
right?
I think it's different because he wants that too, right? Like I think what's
Yeah.
also different is that yes, he's always been that person, but Sonny's character has also made the decision that he wants to be more this. He wants to really focus on his family. He doesn't want that life anymore. So I think that that also is coming through.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But I love that he was the voice of reason, that he explained things to Gio, the whole math of they didn't know who Dante's father was and the whole relation across the board and what
Yes,
that would mean.
I did like that. I actually did like that, him kind of telling him a little bit about his experience. I
Yes.
kinda hope that Gio decides to move in with Sonny because he said, like, he didn't know, but I don't know if I trust him because he thought Sonny followed him to the
Yeah.
Metroport pool. But since he had that moment where, like, Laura was able to step in and was like, "No, no, no," like, "I asked him to meet me," and Sonny's been playing it cool, I'm kinda hoping he does choose to move in with Sonny. Like, I think it has to be that. Like, I can't picture him living at Emma's with Anna.
A hard no. Like, I need to see him with Sunny just because of who he is and their relationship and just who Sunny is and growing, that whole other side of Sunny. Like, it has and he has that beautiful house. Like, come on.
And let's not forget that it was at Sonny's house where Rocco was feeling a little jealous because Gio was so ready to defend Sonny and stand by him. And he was like eyeing Gio and Sonny. So, I mean,
Yes.
I think Rocco is sad and it's like he has a different perspective right now. He's like, oh my gosh, I want to get to know my brother. If there's anyone Gio will warm to besides Sonny, I think it's going to start with the kids, right? It's going to start with with Donna. It's going to start with Rocco. But I do wonder
Yeah.
if the Sonny factor is going to be the thing that creates a jealousy as opposed to, let's say, the more obvious thing of like Dante being what makes the jealousy.
Okay.
That's what I'm wondering. One interesting Dante said about this whole situation was when the news came out that I was your son, I automatically had given my mom the benefit of the doubt, but I
Hmm.
can't do that for Brooklyn right now. And I'm like, "'Cause you're have the right to feel angry because you're a complex human and you actually understand, a mother makes certain choices, but you're on the other side of this choice." Right? So
Yes.
it's fine. It's okay. It means that there's probably a part of you that understands and he said it, right? I think that's what's conflicting for him. He doesn't understand that it's okay for him to like feel so many things because there is the part of him that is so understanding to 16-year-old Brooklyn, but
Yes,
he also doesn't like the
absolutely.
situation. So, I mean, I'm hoping Dante can make his way through, and maybe that's just a little foreshadowing. And I do think that he'll come around with Brooklyn. I think he's stuck on certain things, like the what ifs. I think he's
Yes.
certain about like, hey, she was 16, but I think it's hard for him. And I think it's going to take some time before he realizes it wasn't that she looked at you every day. I was like, "I'm lying about you. We have a baby." Like it
Right.
wasn't that. I think it's gonna take some time for him to understand that like the trauma only came out recently for her because she couldn't have kids. So she had
Exactly.
literally tucked that away. And so I
Yeah.
think eventually he'll kind of understand. And it might be an interesting conversation, right? Because he has his own trauma to draw on. So I think eventually he'll understand that it wasn't just years of lying to you. It was trauma that she pushed it away from herself. It's the fact that it was a hard decision. And I think even like Sonny, what he talked about, his experience of being like, no, like I love Olivia, but sometimes I do get really upset about having missed out on that. And I think that's just really real and it's really hard and it's really unpleasant. And I mean, even though Brooklyn gave up her baby for adoption, it's hard because she's looking at Geo and that changes everything. And so I think Brooklyn too
Exactly.
is also having that like what if moment. Like what if I had known? It's not about like what if I kept my child? It's more like, well, it was Geo. Like you know what I mean? Like that part was out of her control. Like she made one decision and her mom made a different one.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, no, it's complicated, but I think they're slowing it down because there's just too many reveals at once. And I'm just look, with all the drama going on with like the Geo storyline, I'm so glad that they had that super, super funny freaking moment. Oh my gosh, that politician, what's his name again? Boyle?
Boyle. It's
Like when
perfect
he
for
approached
him.
them, like I loved what Gio did, right? Because Gio has his own experience with Boyle on the court. Oh, that's interesting. Because like Gio feels a type of way, but remember, he feels disdain for Boyle because of what he did to the Quartermaines. And he's been disowning the Quartermaines, but the Quartermaines are his family. And he basically
Mm-hmm.
tossed in the pool the enemy of the Quartermaines,
Yep.
and he was protecting he was protecting all of his family the whole way around. And I loved Laura being like, "I love this new grandson of yours." Like, it was just such a cute moment and so light given his world right now, and it was nice to see him, like, all happy and smiley.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe, why they're limiting it, like, why we're not seeing too much of Brooklyn and Dante's, because there's just a lot going on, like, the court case started this week.
My gosh, the court case, Diane, like earliest start of Diane, she is just a queen. She's amazing. Like, yeah, how did you feel about how it started?
Okay, I felt great in terms of it, like, being, like, the court case and how the cases were being presented. What I fe like, this is why I'm, like, so confused. I'm like, "Why is everyone so certain?" Because even Carly confirmed, "With Michael's secret out, he's not gonna get custody." And I'm like, "Were you guys paying attention?" Like, in the
Right?
custody case, Diane wasn't necessarily hammering the infidelity. A lot of Diane's case was hammering instability, and they actually had feedback from the child in question. So there was insight into how the kids were feeling. So you have like Wiley calling from a hotel room, like those odd things.
Yes.
It's not the fact that like Willow cheated, who cares? That
I
has to
know.
do with the state of her marriage. It has zero to do with her capabilities as a mother. What was odd was that she was still like with Michael. And at this point, I can't recall. Like, I think that when she went to DC, she was supposed to be working things out, I think. Like, it was a weird time. Like, she just,
It was.
it was a shocker that she went because she was supportive of his career and he was having this big moment and the whole family was supposed to go. And she decided to be like, you know what? Let's not break promises, Drew. I'll come with you. So they were just highlighting moments like taking the kids without permission. They highlighted she went out of her way to sort of distance the relationship and kind of replace Michael with Drew. I think Diane showed it that Michael was operating from a place of good faith.
Yes.
He wasn't going to battle her so much. He was placing the kids first. So I think the parental case was well presented. I don't care about the infidelity. It doesn't mean anything. It was just that Willow's infidelity caused her to make certain decisions with the kids. So I feel like she landed a great case. They're doing this thing with Joss. Okay. So, I mean,
Oh,
I loved it. I mean, like that whole family. You have Joss with the great insults, Michael scenes with Willow last week, Carly scenes this week. But like you had mentioned this, right? Like when the Nina Carly fight happened, Joss removed Nina in this like air quote professional manner. And then when she was put on the stand, I mean, let's not forget she's got WSB training.
exactly. So she could hold her own, but I love that freeze on the text message from her mom.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was really, really cute. But how she handled the stand and Rick's tricky questions, it was so good. And like the fact that she was able to like reference Willow's determination to be with Drew at all costs and be able to reference Drew's threat to her was phenomenal. She killed it. Like Diane's reaction to her when she got off the stand, so good. So good.
So, like, there was, oh my God, all of the face acting, but because we're talking about Joss in particular, like when she kind of like looks at her mom and you see like the unspoken
Mhm.
thing, the how proud Diane was when Joss gets off, and Joss was proud of herself too. When they showed the evidence of the pictures of Drew and Joss giggling,
Oh my God.
amazing. So
Like, 'cause
cute.
that was so real. Like, her and Carly just kind of doing their own thing in the background is everything.
Yes.
But there were disappointing moments though, because with
Yes.
Nina on the stand, I was like, I thought it would be more satisfying, like when Diane was questioning Nina. Like I thought we were gonna get more from that. Also, let's take a minute.
Yes.
Christina. Okay. So she's on the witness list, right?
Yes.
In family court, right? For
Yes.
custody hearing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was confused as to Rick's call to Alexis. I'm like, is he pressuring her? I couldn't understand. I honestly could not understand what
I
this conversation was. And Johnny was like, no, 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 like he's pressuring Alexis to remove Christina from testifying. I was like,
But it's like it
okay.
almost felt like he was protecting her.
It did. That's why I was confused because like she
Same,
could say
okay.
anything. But the point is, remember when she was called to testify at her dad's custody hearing and she was supposed to be a witness and there was no way out of it? So that's why she went to Ava's hotel room. But in this instance, her mom just grabbed her and was like,
Right.
no, you're not going to testify. I was like, what? What? Oh, it's the trouble you could get into if you don't testify. You must testify. You're on a witness list. You're subpoenaed by the court.
Same problem this week with Molly recusing herself. I'm like, what is all this new stuff that's happening
Oh
this week
my
in
gosh.
comparison to what was happening? Like, what's going on, guys?
What was the case she was on? What was the
Molly?
case she was on? Molly. Yeah, yeah.
The
It
one
was
where she did not recuse herself from.
prosecuted Jason, right? She prosecuted her sister's ex-husband and baby daddy, but she recused herself from her sister's ex-girlfriend's mom that she only met for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird and wonky place, but
Oh,
Christina's got
wow.
some tutorhood about her mom protecting her.
I just can't. Like, why is Christina rehearsing her lie in front of Marco?
I know. Oh my word, what is happening?
Like, already Marco is confronting Alexis. Hey,
Super smart guy.
do you know my specialty? This is money laundering. Money laundering. Do you not? It's a no-go. So, like, that assistant sucks because she's
So
handing
bad.
out these documents.
I love her goofiness.
It's so good.
I'm helpful.
Oh my gosh. And like even Laura being like, hey, Alexis, like, why are you moving $10 million around without my consent? And Alexis is like,
Right?
because I'm doing the job hard. I take it so seriously because of duty.
I care with all my feelings.
Duty calls. I put feelings over here in a box and then I go hard. I like take 10 million and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it over here. And I just didn't tell you. I'm sorry. Next time I will tell you things. And I'm like, I love how in this whole plan, she's like, okay, they're blackmailing me. Okay, let's set up shall accounts. And she never counted
Right?
the fact that Laura would look at her bank statements.
As she met Laura, like she's very about the details.
Oh my gosh, and I'm dying because it's like this is the woman. Oh my gosh, she's so Curtis. It's like
Oh boy.
no, Christina, I'm gonna make the plan. And then Curtis is like, no, Portia, you're gonna take my tood because I'm gonna make the plan. I'm gonna get Jacinda here to testify on weird stuff. Meanwhile, Carly's bursting that bubble in the courtroom. Like nothing is going how I expected, right?
No,
Like Sasha gets
same.
on the stand and I'm like, I think he knows. I think Rick knows. And I couldn't believe she told. And then it's
I
like
know.
Carly overhears how they found out. And then I'm thinking, okay, well now Carly's gonna tell Sasha. No, not even. Nina went to go tell Sasha. What is going on?
Okay. So what I loved about that is remember how I said the relationships with Willow and Sasha are so extremely different that she's been tippy-toeing around Willow, basically begging for her acceptance, but Sasha she treats like a real human being that even though she messed up so incredibly bad, what is the first thing she did when she got free from everybody else? She went to Sasha
And told the truth.
and
Oh wow,
told
that's
her
real messed up. She
it
keeps
is.
saying she loves Willow a lot,
I don't know, man.
but you know, she's more real with Sasha. And then how she was handling Drew. Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll
They
go
were
back
close
to the
talk. Yeah, okay. Let's just take it a
we'll
step
go
at a
back to the
time.
courtroom and then we'll go to that specific scene. So that was amazing, right? Carly intruding. But what was really disturbing to me was like Drew. Like we know he's good at playing creepy. But when he
Yes.
was like, and we're gonna take Michael's kids away from him because he deserves it. And I'm like, whoa. You're
I
like,
know,
like
right?
how is it not a red flag to Willow? To the degree that like Drew is obsessed with Carly. He's like, Carly, this is all your fault. And I'm like he's just like, I mean, anger or not, it's strong feelings. Like you don't want your mistress to be so emotionally reactive to certain people because it suggests
Mhm.
some kind of, you know what I mean, that they're significant in some way. And when it comes to Carly, even though like he hates her in air quotes, it's like a lot of attention there. And him being like, "You just can't accept that we love each other." Oh my gosh. And I loved it. Carly was like, "Well, I don't have to keep your stupid secret now. Like, if you're gonna do that to Sasha and if you're gonna screw this case up, well, you might as well lose her because that's exactly what's gonna happen by outing Nina." And it goes to, I guess, the peak of Carly's frustration, kind of like when you talk about Lois, like, there's moments where she seems to prioritize being like friends over being a mom. And that's, I think, one of Carly's biggest pet peeves when it comes to the way that Nina's handled Willow.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's the thing. No secret is coming out exactly like how we thought. So like they're trickling out, but there's still secrets to come, right? Like, so
Yes.
how, this whole part about like Willow finding out that Nina and Drew slept together. But my concern was this. So like,
Mhm.
let's say Willow finds out about the ketamine. I mean, Nina was being proactive by saying, "You say about the ketamine, then fine, I'll have to spill my guts about us sleeping together."
Mhm.
But that's the thing though, it worries me because I'm like, will Willow believe him? She might with Michael back in town, but it's also the fact that like Drew could spin this, right? "I slept with
Yes.
your mom and that's why she did the whole ketamine thing because she's jealous." Because that's already the narrative in his mind. Like he believes that.
Big
Like he
time.
already he's said this to Nina before. But when she was trying to negotiate with him, again, weird, like you pointed out, the close talking, the fruitiness.
Yes,
And
so
she was like, "If you give her space, she's gonna like thank you." She'll be like giving you credit. And I'm like, what? It's like tricking him being like, if
I
you
did a
act
match.
like a decent human being, ooh, she is gonna come running. She's gonna be so grateful. And I'm like, what are you saying? Because in my mind, when I saw those scenes, like before we saw the last shot of the day, when I saw that scene, and I told Johnny, I'm like, Will Nina should poke at his biggest vulnerability. She should say, the more you push, you might push her into the arms of Michael, destabilize him, because if he is worried about
Yes.
he's so controlling of Willow, right? He didn't want her to go see Michael. He wanted to turn the visit to her husband in a burn unit into a romantic getaway.
Yes.
So with that being said, it's like if she really wanted to take control, she could have easily destabilized Drew and made him question how he behaves and how it could affect her kind of looking at Michael differently or wanting to go back.
She's not very good at plotting is what we've
No, 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 no.
discovered.
We've watched her plot nothing. Like,
Exactly.
look how long she's been plotting this whole Willow thing, and she just created more mess. Like, nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So there's a medical emergency, and the judge is like, "You know what? I'm out of here. You guys can have the room, but I'm so not interested in medical emergencies. If I wanted to be a
I have
doctor,
a
I'd be a
e
doctor."
exactly, I have a desk full of paperwork to do, I'm out.
She's Lulu, and for that reason, I'm out.
Exactly.
This is not in my jurisdiction. I'm sorry. This is outside of my purview. And so I'm like, this really happening? So like,
Right?
and I mean, when they were outed, like when Sasha was like, "Yeah, Michael's the baby daddy," and I'm watching Willow's eyes, and I'm like, because Drew had a reaction on his own, like, "Oh my god," I'm like, "Why are you devastated? Like, who is
Right?
Sasha to you? Like Michael didn't cheat on you? Like, it was just strange. Like,
It was weird.
he had a heavy reaction, but it would have been more funny watching Drew react to Willow react
Right? Because
because
she had a love heartbreak reaction.
Because, like, for somebody who told your husband's sister, "I will do anything to be with Drew," it's like, then why would you have those eyes? Because I
I
thought you only had
know.
those cuckoo eyes for Drew. I didn't know. So just watching her anger, her upset that he cheated on me. What? I thought I was the one doing the cheating. I thought everybody wanted me. And then what was even better? My gosh. So not only does he like go on this stand, he doesn't speak negatively of her, but he calls her damaged
Yeah, that was intense,
and
his statement.
brought up the cult aspect as to why she's so swayed by Drew, which was amazing. And I'm just wondering, I'm like, Will, are you hearing this? Because basically you've been put on trial and a pattern is emerging
Yes.
of all of your recent decisions. I don't know if it's landing, but then like when this whole emergency happened, she's like, "Hey guys, I could deliver the baby." And then she's delivering this baby while like Michael and Sasha are just like, I know it's not the right word, but canoodling.
No, but legit though, that's what I wrote.
Because he basically went on the stand and been like, "She's damaged, she's weak." And then he goes to Sasha, "You're the strongest person I know."
Willow's face as she's delivering your love child.
It was so good. Like,
So good.
the picture I took of that moment, I'm like, this is the best birth announcement photo ever. wife, mistress, new baby. Like, it's just so spectacular. So spectacular. And that Willow and like Willow is like, I don't know what happened. It's like, you have that oxytocin, that like love hormone with the baby. I don't know what was going on with Willow. Like, because you remember she tried doing this whole thing with Sasha being, I don't know why, but because of Jason. She's like, we're family. We're family.
So
And I mean, there's a part of her that I feel like wants a friend, wants Sasha back. And there's just this, it's like she wants to be okay again. Like now that Michael's back, it's like she kind of maybe remembers what it was like to have people.
And that's what that felt like. It felt like she had been missing love for a long time. Like when he took Wiley from the nurse's ball, I felt like she looked at him like, oh my gosh, there's my husband. And it was like literally a split second. And I don't know if that was the intention or not. But when she sees him, she does act differently. She does look at him like she loves him. And in that moment, it was so interesting because here's Sasha, who she really loves and would love to win back. There's a baby in the room, which Willow, as we know, loves children. And you
Yeah.
have Michael, somebody she loves. So it was such an interesting vibe of her in that moment wanting to be a part of this moment, a part of Michael's life. She hasn't quite figured it out. Sasha's like a part of that baby's life because, like it or not, half siblings to her own. Like to me, it was this new family unit being born, and Drew is off in the
Yes.
distance, and them just trying to navigate this new world, but in a space of love and children as the priority.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that vibe because we saw the tension, but
Yeah.
like I didn't see in that moment, but I also wonder what it means for Willow, right? Because she's watching Michael have other priorities that just aren't her. And it's hard. Like the divorce is hard for her. You know what I mean? They haven't
Yes.
been together for so long. She literally moved in with her mistress. But when she got the divorce papers, all of it, it was just a lot for her. This idea that he didn't want to see her, that he was rejecting her. It's really odd, right? Because she's rejected him. She's shoved her affair in his face and in
Yes.
his family's face over and over. And her watching him, maybe there's some legitimacy to what he's saying because he has a different focus and it isn't me. And when you said feel like this shift, like she saw her husband, I do agree that there is a shift because even though their first confrontation was harsh and she was like, Michael's so cruel, Michael's so harsh. The truth is, Michael's opinion matters the most.
Yes.
And she can call it cruel, but the point is, like, his words landed, his words hit, and what he said had such a huge impact. And so, yes, I think there is something significant, obviously, about Michael. And it was funny also with the news coming out, right? Because you had that official joining of Carly's family, the Spencers and the
Yeah.
Scorpios, like when Felicia was there. But I was like, Felicia, what are you doing? She's like, you should thank Willow. And I'm like, why do you gotta be so
Ew.
saintly? Don't you ever get mad? Don't you remember Faison? You hated him. I'm not saying Willow is Faison, but just this whole idea of like everybody let's be good. And so Carly
Mhm.
did thank her. But I do think it's Delulu that everyone thinks that just because of this affair, like the custody is so settled. But it was
Me
funny
too.
realizing like when Sonny popped in, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's two grandchildren in like 2 days. Exactly.
I love that
And
Michael pointed that out.
yes, and, like, okay, I have to say this, gold star, when I saw Sonny and Michael and they had that scene we didn't get Sonny Michael's scene since he's been back, and when I was watching, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good that I forgot that's not the real Michael."
Gotcha.
It didn't even occur to me in those moments because their connection was so real when he was talking about the way he loves his kids and that it's the same way with them. What I loved also is just the subtleties, like little subtleties. So like when Carly went in to see Sasha, like Sasha was ready to apologize. And that's the thing, like Carly didn't care about that, like she understands things. And I love what she said, as long as you and Michael continue to be honest with one another. But I loved when she
Mhm.
walked in and Jason said, I'm going to step out. She's like, don't go far. And I
I loved it,
loved
loved it.
Loved her look, loved his look,
'Cause you
loved the
knew.
conversation. Oh, yeah, and it
That's a
was, like,
couple right there when you know what the eye movements mean.
all of it. It was so cute, everything kinda coming out like that, but again, I didn't think it would come out this way, and I just don't think it's gonna be this kumbaya moment that we're seeing today. Like, I don't see how Willow's character progresses if everyone is finding middle ground. Like, what's the story? Everyone is in a better place, so me and Michael are gonna make an amicable arrangement, which means, of course, I'm not moving to DC, and then I guess Willow and Michael keep coordinating and Drew doesn't like that and he kind of gets uglier and uglier.
I can see that happening. I mean, we got a little teaser of that possibility when they were looking at the baby in the nursery, like one big happy family, and Drew is losing his mind in the background.
Yeah, because nothing is going how I thought it would. Like, if I think about how the scenes were
Same.
today, again, we don't know what the judge will say, but it's like, will they be proactive? You know what I mean? And I
Yes,
don't know, like Michael's happy now, but I feel like the concern is more about Drew.
exactly.
I guess there could be story, right? If they make an agreement, it's just she'll basically see Drew unravel, but it means certain secrets will still be like kept.
I want to see her grow on her own. I want to see her single and focused on herself and her children. I want her to see Drew for who he is and how he's trying to break up their family and what part she plays in it. Like, I want some sort of realization at
I
the end of the
do.
day.
I do. And it's just, I mean, not that we have the choice, but it's just, I thought it would be this harsher reality.
Yeah, me
But
too.
we've had so many bombs, right? We've had so many big reveals that just haven't stopped. So part of me is like, well, is this the end of the road for the harsh, reveals? But I do find it hard to believe that she would get full custody. I do.
I do too.
So, I mean, I think she might lose custody and will go that route.
She loses custody, but
Mhm.
there's still this like connection and kindness. And every time she steps out to maybe chat with Michael over coffee about the kids or get an update about the kids, like Drew's anger just grows and grows and grows. And we see him explode in a fun way like that.
You're right. She could lose custody, but Michael is going to be okay with, let's say, he's not going to deny her
Yes.
access as long as they're together. So that means more family bonding moments without Drew.
Yes.
I think what you're saying is going to happen. Like, yes, she'll lose custody, which will look dramatic, but it won't be as dramatic because there's kind of like a door. Like Michael said, yeah, you can come hang out with us. So I can see that. I can see exactly what you're saying, the slow unravels. There's a softness presented today.
Yes.
And so I think we'll see a little bit of that because, like you pointed out, we saw him lurk in the background.
And they were smiling and holding their children and looking at another cute baby.
But if it happens that way, then it doesn't matter about like the Nina part coming out. Like, what would that matter?
Exactly. I'm not too fond of that coming out. Like, if it works, but if it's just for the sake of it coming out, meh.
I just feel like the ship has sailed. Like, it would have been so much
Yes.
better if it came out on the stand because she went to Sasha. So I don't see Sasha turning around and outing Nina at this point.
Like, the secret that I would want to come out more at this point in time is the fact that he paid off that lady
Hmm.
to say whatever Michael said.
I think that still has a chance of coming out. Okay, so like Emma's going cuckoo.
Oh, I'm so okay. And then when we talked about Geo moving in with Sonny, I'm just really hoping that she is clear about what her plan is with Geo before she starts flirting more with her teacher.
I
So
mean,
gross.
look, Emma is really obsessed with this whole thing.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're not a couple, right? This is just a person that she was trying to take down this whole time because we thought like did they
Yes.
have a previous relationship? But then you're like he also kind of asked her grandma out on a date. And then she's like thinking that she can complain to Joss about Joss to Trina and Kai and they're like, "Yeah, we don't really want to hang around and have you be a downer." Like, do you know what's really funny about Kai is that everybody is supposed to pretend the water is deep. And Kai is just like, look at me sitting. Everyone sees me, my hands touching. And I'm like, no, you're not
So
supposed to
funny.
do that, Kai. Pretend it's deep. Pretend it's deep. So, okay,
I
now
knew.
it's so cute. It's so cute. So
Mhm.
we have Emma with that storyline. And now Anna, I was just like, damn it. She found him. I was hoping Jason could hide longer, but she found him. And now there's a mission. Like, I'm just so irritated.
Irritated, but also what we talked about. Jason finding out about
Mhm.
Joss. This is the path to that and how this
Yeah.
all blows up.
Yeah, because it's all those things coming together, except he didn't see her in the courtroom, but he'll probably notice certain things. But like, it's just funny how Anna went about this because I'm like, they have to know that they're writing this in such a funny way about like Anna and how she perceives herself versus
I love
reality.
it.
Even when she's
Yes.
with Brennan and he's like, I know you're really good at this, but maybe you're sounding more like a grandma. She's like, no, I think it's like, I don't know. I know what you're thinking. Like, it's just my spy brain. He's like, no. And then she's talking to Jason and he's like, well, is it though? Like, are you? Is this like, are you being more of a grandma in this situation? And it's also the fact that when Brennan came in, she's like, it's not a police matter. It's personal. And I'm like, When are you ever dealing with an actual police matter, for one?
Right.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. All I have to say is how, like, context matters. You know, I feel a type of way about Anna because they talked for long. When they met, there was light outside, and then they talked so long it became night. And I'm like, this is too much for me. This is too much for
Yes.
me. She found him and she won't let him go. But when the DA comes in, I'm like, you guys, just ignore her. Like, if I was Anna
I
and she was
know.
looking at me talking, I would stare at her blankly and then I would walk away. Or I'd walk away mid-sentence. Like, I just wouldn't deal with that person. And so in those moments, I'm like pro Anna, not pro DA.
Absolutely. It's like, and Anna had so many good comebacks. She really just let that ADA spin a bit, and I loved all of it. But my concern is our one drink DUI, Natalia.
I think it was 2, unless the second glass was water, but, like, you know how we're impressed when actors, like, act like they didn't do something? Like, when that time when they were searching for Jason, and Carly's like, "He's not here," and we're like, "Oh my god, I believed her." Like, she was so good at acting on acting. And, like, with Natalia, Johnny's like, "Wow," and I'm like, "I know, like, I believe she's drunk." Like, she's so good at. So I'm like, acting on acting. Like, she did like, being messy, I'm sorry, but, like, Natalia does it real well, like, real well.
It was good. It was good.
But,
I
like, I
like it.
don't
I
know
like
if I've
that she said her white dress was gonna get dirty.
I know. Like, I don't even know if I've ever seen a DUI, like,
Huh.
on a soap. I mean, I'm watching a hospital mostly, but I can't recall. Except for, like, when they faked it
Alexis?
with Alexis and Tracy, but it was staged.
Yes,
But this
absolutely.
one this one's bad, but I'm like Johnny was watching, he's like, "This is insane to me." Like, "Oh, your lawyer's not here yet? Let's talk about Sonny." And I'm like, "She's literally the ex-wife of Jen Sidwell. Like, what are you
Right? It's like,
doing?"
let's have girl talk while you're here in cuffs.
Her sights are set on Sonny when you literally have bigger fish to fry, and she's so obsessed. But they are repositioning things, like when Anna was warning him about the DA he already knew. And it's been a long
Yes.
time though, because there always was a cat and mouse between, like, whether it was the PCPD or whether it was like an FBI agent. And they haven't had that in a long time. So they are putting, like, she's basically a Taggart of like what Taggart was a while back.
Yes.
So we haven't had that in a long time. But it's just insane because as viewers, we know what Jens is doing, and we know that Sunny is slowly kind of pulling away from that life, and she's still
Yes.
pursuing this. How are you not looking into Jen Sidwell?
I know, of all people.
I know. So on a cuter note, Marshall came back. I love his like relationship and his bond with Trina. We got a TJ
Yes.
mention.
We did. I was shocked. He's always at work. He works in the basement, I think.
Look, I know Portia lied, but I feel bad for her. When they were arguing, she's like, "I can't take this anymore." He's like, "Well, you're gonna have to." And I'm just like, "No, she doesn't." And he said something to Marshall today. I'm like, "That's what I said." Remember he laughed when I said that Jordan's lies were work related and Portia's were
Yeah.
personal? He said that. He said that. He's
Said
like,
your line.
he said Jordan's lies were work related. Maybe I was being too harsh. And I'm like, yeah, because it was her job. And she just assumed if you've ever had a job, you'd get it, but you didn't. You were constantly pestering her at work. And he's like, maybe I quit on her too early. Obviously, she tried to work at it and I did it. And then there's Marshall was like, my son is messy, messy. So he tried to redirect him to his
He
current
did,
wife. He's
yes.
like, you know what? You didn't give Jordan a chance. Maybe you should give your current wife a chance. Maybe
That's
you
what
should
I
try
thought.
working on your current relationship. And I love
Oh
how
my
he's
word.
like pitching it as like a novel idea. Why
Yes,
don't you
yes.
work on your relationships? It's like, and I told Johnny, I'm like, this guy, like he literally leaves the moment things get uncomfortable. And yet he's
Yeah.
mad at his dad. You stayed away for 40 years. Like, you know what I mean? If I were to come,
Right?
it would be
My
awkward. And
word.
I didn't want to deal with that. And it's just, it's really, really, really special. But seems to be coming to terms with it, but not in a good way, Curtis. Like he learned something about himself. Maybe I jumped the gun with Jordan, but he's not receiving the message. He's like, so I should jump back to Jordan.
But even Jordan's like, you know what? Yeah, that's tough. But you know what? Go talk to your wife, please. I was here to talk about other things.
It's just so bad because she's like, is Portia like here? Are we talking crap about her with her upstairs or is she at work?
Oh, he's such an interesting character.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, did we cover all the things and talk about all the stuff?
Yes.
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 Do you have any favorite lines?
I do. It was Diane. So when When Rick asked Chase, "Did Michael know you were married?" Like, when he started up with Willow, and then Diane redirected and said, "Did Willow know she was married to you?" Good, I'm done. That was my favorite. That was my favorite line.
Okay, for me, it was I don't necessarily get the line, but it was just the delivery that Tracy
Okay.
had. She's like, "I have no ketamine. You'll just have to go to the vet."
I exactly. I don't
I
really
don't
know
know where this
drugs,
party drugs come from.
and I'm
I
laughing
don't think it's the vet.
but I'm laughing because, like, I had to rewind to understand. I'm like, "Where did he get ketamine?" I was just, like, trying to take notes. But I did love the delivery too. You're right. We both didn't really get the line, but we know it was a good line, and I laughed at you for that, but I'm like, "No. No, 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 that was how I received it too."
Oh, stars to so many people. Well, we have a new character named Daisy, which I wasn't really a fan because of Willow, the
Uh-huh.
whole nature theme.
But then I realized she's not Willow's kid, because when I heard the name Daisy, I'm like, "Willow and Daisy?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, you're not her mom. It's totally fine." That baby!
That
My gosh,
baby.
staring up at Sasha, and then when, like, Cody was talking or, like, Jason was talking, you see the baby's head going back trying to, like, see who's talking behind. Gosh, I was dying. That baby was so cute.
I literally thought they're just staring at the mic boom.
Oh. I was like, "Look, Johnny, the baby's listening to all the voices." Oh, thanks.
No, because Olivia was asking me, "Where's the baby looking?"
She's following their voice.
Maybe, maybe she was. I don't know what they do on
Well,
stage
you know
with
what? Let's get her
babies.
on the podcast. Our first guest is Daisy. We don't do guests, but we're making an exception for Daisy.
Oh my word. So star to Daisy, star to Sasha. There's so many stars to go out this week. It is unbelievable. Do you have any like extra special stars?
I think I'm gonna give more to Sasha because it was really special. It's like I'm gonna say this. It was a full circle moment for the audience. We've watched Sasha suffer and go through a lot of stuff. And
Yes.
for us to see a moment where she's holding her child like that, I think is everything. So I'm throwing more stars there. A star to Maxie because she's just amazing. Like watching her deal with Sonny makes you really miss her. Like because she hasn't been involved in the drama, like the nurses ball stuff. We haven't seen her talk to Lulu yet.
True.
Like watching her deal with Sonny, I go, hold on a sec. And then literally go to Lucas just for tea on Marco was just beyond, beyond.
Amazing. Amazing. So good.
Not only did she leave, right, to go get like the tea, when she sees Sonny talk to drunk Natalia, she waves at him, "Hey, are you gonna, Sonny, are
We're
we gonna
good?
finish this?" It was just so good. So good.
Oh, she had a great line too about how her kids won't stop growing, so she needs money.
Yes, eating. They won't stop.
Oh, she's so good. I totally agree. And I'm gonna ask this
Hmm. I'm ready.
question. Awesome. Okay, your cutie pie moment of the week.
Theo pushing, what's his name? I was about to call him
Boyle.
Roy, and I'm like, Boyle. I don't know why I was gonna call him Roy. Boyle into the shallow pool. But that was my favorite moment. Everyone's reaction, Sunny's reaction, Laura's reaction, all of it. That was my favorite cutie pie moment. You can check out our Instagram page at Cutie Pie Coloring and the coloring books available on Amazon.
Oh my gosh, folks, that's a wrap. Have a fantastic weekend. I cannot wait for next week. Bye.
Bye.